Hello and welcome to today's Gyan lesson presentations on Java programming language. This is part of CSI 03 course. Today we will talk about some basics of Java programming language and try to focus on two basic data structure which language supports, that we call arrays and strings. We'll talk about few applications of arrays and strings, but also we'll talk about some other basic features of Java programming languages. In fact, today we'll talk about, I will just introduce you two basic methods for which I don't have slides, but simply introduce you two basic applications of an array, and also some of the applications we'll look at the strings class now. So let's first talk about some basics of Java programming language. See, Java is unlike other programming languages, it's not simply, I will call them as a language, but it's basically technology. It is a framework. It provides large number of classes and so on. So anyway, let's look at the first slide, what we are going to talk about, what Java is. Java is basically technology. Look at this slide that makes it easy to build distributed applications. Now, Java programming language, unlike any other programming language, is not basically meant for writing applications which will run on a single machine, but it's basically written for an environment which is distributed in the nature. Today you have few computers here, few computers in some other countries, and they are somehow connected with the internet or any other type of network. But basically internet is the main focus of Java programming language. So Java is a technology that makes it easy to build distributed applications. What exactly we mean by distributed application is the program executed by multiple computers across a network. But of course Java is a programming language, Java is a development platform. So right now, so basically let me try to explain you what we have discussed in this slide is that Java is a programming language which is meant not for a small computer environment, a small computer or a single computer, but it basically meant for a network environment. In fact, today we say the network is the computer. This is the basic definition of a computer now. The earlier design of a computer comprised of single machine, didn't have any modem, didn't have connectivity to the internet, didn't have connectivity to the network. But today most of all the machines, you have a built-in modem. They are connected to the network outside. All the software basically designed for a network environment. And Java is a programming language which was basically designed to exploit the network environment, so that you can develop a software in distributed environment. One team is here, another team might be in other country, third team might be underway, and they are trying to collaborate with certain projects, software projects, and distributing the code through the internet. So this is Java. Now basically what is the basic philosophy of Java? Java's philosophy is, look at this slide now, write once and run anywhere, on any time, forever. So basically you write a program at one system and you can run it on a number of other machines now. So basically what exactly it means? It means that most of the programming language on which you have written a program, they produce a compiled code, or they produce a code which basically runs on that machines now. Means the code produced by a compiler is the code of a microprocessor which is sitting in that machine. But the Java compiler does not produce a code specific to particular configurations. The Java code is independent of any platform, and the code, what they call it, a byte code. So the Java compiler is uniform, it is universal, means that the compiler produces the code not specific to a particular machine, but it can run on all the other machines by simply adding some runtime utility. So this is beauty of the Java now, that the program produced by Java can run anywhere else. And today they have a runtime environment for all different type of platforms. You have Sun Solaris, you have, take example of this one, Other machines, IBM machines and other machines, they basically work on all different platforms. The another important feature is, look at this one now, the second point of the slide, that it must enable the development of secure, high performance, highly robust applications on multiple platforms in heterogeneous and distributed environment. The third point, which is related to Java, that is very much unique to Java, is that support of dynamic active program, what we call them applets, for transmissions between clients and server attached to the internet. Now what exactly it is, that is basically, since you are working in the internet environment, since you are working in a network environment, you are downloading the code from the outside, then you must be very sure that the code which you are downloading must be very, very secure. So the point is that the security is the important component of Java programming language. So you can download any code, what we sometimes call the mobile code, or sometimes they call applet programming or applet. You can download, and the system, the applet will itself take care of that. They do not able to access to those files which is basically native to their systems. So all the securities are built around the line code, or what we call them applet now. So in Java, basically we can develop two types of program. One is what we call them applet, which is basically meant for running it on different platforms, sending it to different environment, and the another one is called applications, which is meant for a local environment, and later on we'll give you the two basic difference between the two. So the applet and applications. So now look at this definition once again. Applet applications is a program which runs on any computer under the operating system of that computer. It is similar to any applications program created by C, C++, or any other programming language, let's say Pascal. And an applet is an application designed to be transmitted over the internet and executed by Java compatible browsers. An applet is like any tiny Java program dynamically loaded across the network, just like an image, sound file, and video clip. So application is just like a program. If you want to develop an applications in Java programming language, you just the exercise which you have been doing in other programming languages, just like that. So the application is meant for running in that local environment, and when you want to run applet, then this applet is basically it's basically the environment for running an applet is a browser. You all have a browser loaded in your machines now. So this is a browser which tries to interpret the applet program. Applet program is not a standalone program type of application which you write in C and C++. It is the program which is embedded into the HTML code. So now the point the issues, the main important issues about Java is the bytecode, and I told you the code which is highly portable now, the code which is produced by a compiler, and the code which is not specific to a particular machine. So what exactly bytecode it is? A highly optimized set of instructions designed to be executed by Java runtime systems, or what we call them Java virtual machine, right? So in its standard form, Java virtual machine is an interpreter for your bytecode. Means we can say that your browser runs your Java program or applet. It means that browser works just like an interpreter, or Java virtual machine is built into your browser. Means your browser must be enabled, Java enabled. If your browser does not support the Java, it means that they will not able to run any Java program. And Java became famous only because these browsers started supporting Java programming language. You had some problem. You have noticed that there was some problem with the Microsoft browser. They didn't support. In fact, they are still not supporting Java programming language. It means that with those browser you cannot run Java program. But you take example of Netscape or other type of browser. They support programming language Java. Means they are supporting Java virtual machine, or they are working just like an interpreter. There is certain issues today that Java is slow and compared to any other language. Let me look at this slide to understand the discussion. Difference between compiled executable code in other languages and interpreted code of Java is not substantial. Compilation using just-in-time compiler of bytecodes compiles bytecode into executable code in real time on a piece-to-piece demand basis. What exactly we are talking about? That there are some, again, that Java is people claim that Java is not as fast at, but today we have a feature called just-in-time compiling that basically takes care of this type of drawbacks. Now, some other programming languages, some other features of Java programming language. One is that very familiar. You write a program in Java very similar to object-oriented programming like C++. So all those concepts are very similar, or its notations or its style of writing is very, very similar to what you have seen in C++ and other object-oriented programming language. Now, what is similarity between the two? The basic similarity between the two is that in C++ you write a program in a form of a class. Class has become basic unit in C++. For example, in C language, the basic unit of writing a program is function. So you write a program or conceptualize your program in terms of a large number of functions. There is a main function, function 1, functions 2, function 3, function 4, and so on. So similarly, when you write a program in object-oriented programming language like C++ or Java, the basic units becomes your class, and you define or conceptualize your problem in terms of a number of classes, and there could be number of different objects for a particular class. So your organization has done in terms of number of classes and its relationship between different classes now. So the way you write a program in C++, similarly you write a program in Java, means you organize your program in terms of classes, and then again the concept of C++ is again same concepts you use them in inheritance and so on. Look at this slide to elaborate. C and C++ program finds Java easy. Programmer who's coming from C and C++ background, they find Java easy because many functions of C and C++ have been incorporated. Java has the bare bones functionality needed to implement its rich feature set. Almost everything in Java is either a class, methods, or an object. Method, you understand that basically method. So your class contains two basic concepts. One is the data structure, and second is method to implement those data structure. And that is what you have. The Java is basically a very high secure programming language. Security features has been built into a Java programming language. You can provide your own security. That is something very unique feature which other programming language didn't bother to, because they didn't require to, because they are basically developed for development of applications in a local environment. But Java has been thrown into a network environment, so that is security is the major issues today. And another important feature is the architectural neutral. Look at this slide, last point, that is architectural neutral and portable because of these bytecodes. It is a bytecode. Let me repeat once again, and that is important point about the Java is that the Java's compiler does not produce a code specific to any configuration which you can see with existing compiler C and C++ now. So it is a bytecode independent, and then you require a runtime environment or interpreter just like a Java virtual machine to run this program as specific to that machine. So you have a Java JVM for a particular operating system environment. Robustness, and again, if you want to, another important feature is the robustness. It's basically the Java is a very robust programming language. Robustness means that your program has to be highly reliable. Why you require this type of programming language? Because this feature, because you when you develop a very large program where you have millions and billions of codes you have included, the reliability is the major issue, because if something goes wrong and it takes time to maintain or rectify, then it's very difficult to use this type of software now. So reliability is the important features now. Now this reliability feature which we have is again in object-oriented style. C++ also introduced them. In fact it's C++ which introduced this type of concept, reliability issue or robustness issue, but couldn't impose on the programmer to use them extensively. But Java has very much imposed on the programmer that you have to use this feature, otherwise program cannot, or might be program will give you some warning and so on. So these are the few important features of a Java programming language. Multi-threaded. That is another important features of a Java programming language. Now, multi-threaded is the multi-threading. This is a good candidate of writing a parallel program. You know that you must understand that the large number of features you have of operating systems. or what exactly we mean by that the term we try to understand that most of the machines which we have to trying to explain you the concept of multi-threading. So for most of the architecture you have, they all are in the von Neumann model. Now von Neumann, this you must have read from CSI 01. In von Neumann model, what you have is that you have a one CPU system or one single control unit or single ALU based system. But today the cost of CPU has declined. It has become much more miniaturized. So people are going for a parallel machines. There will be large number of different machines, or large number of CPUs are there, and they all might work on a similar problem, or they might be working on different problem. Each CPU might be working on different set of problem. So it means that if I have hundreds of instructions to run a program, then, and if you have let's say if I have 10 machines, 10 CPU can work in parallel, means all the 10 instructions. So each 100 instructions can be divided into 10 instructions each on each machine. So they all can work very, very fast. So that is basic idea. And Java was basically designed for parallel programming, and for means the environment. If you have a parallel environment, then Java is a very right candidate. And multi-threading is a feature which exploits the parallelism. So they create a thread. Normally, when we say one of the features of a operating system is that it is a multi-programmed operating system. So when we say multi-programmed operating systems, it means that it can support number of programs at the same time in computer's memory and can execute those programs at the same time. Moment one program wants some input, then it will switch over to the second program. If that one also wants some input, switch over to the third program, so on and so forth. This is called multi-programmed operating system. And each program is called a process, and it's a very, very heavyweight process now. Java multi-threading is basically that same process or same program can have a large number of threads now. So that is basically the idea is that to improve the efficiency of a system, process is becoming or getting replaced by a multi-threading concept, where thread is a very, very small concept, where a process is a very, very large concept. So switching over from one to another, from one process or one program to this second program, it takes lots of time. But switching over from one thread to another thread, it can move very, very fast, because they all belong to the same address space. So multi-threading is a very much important concept which Java has introduced, and a programmer has a control over multi-threading. Normally the system had basically control over multi-threading, but today you have a large number of libraries to manipulate the multi-threading. So you can write a program in a really parallel environment. So look at this slide just to elaborate this concept once again. You just focus on the last concept. What we say, Java also supports sophisticated multi-process synchronizations that allows to construct a smoothly running interactive system. So if you have a many processes are running concurrently, and if they want to access to each other, then there must be some synchronizations among all them. So Java supports those type of synchronizations mechanism. Synchronization is required when many processes wants to access the data at the same time, and so that the end results should have should support the correctness. So this is what we say about multi-threading. So in summary, multi-threading is an important feature of Java programming language which exploits the parallel architecture of a machine. But it does not mean to run a multi-threaded program you require a parallel environment. It can work on a von Neumann machines also, but its features could be better exploited if you have those type of architecture. This is what we are trying to explain. Already explains distributed and dynamic. Yes, that is. So the question is, the Java is highly distributed programming language, and it has number of features to support distributed. And one point which I will just try to explain to you is that it supports network programming, it supports a TCP/IP programs. You have a Java.NET is one such library. So if you want to write any distributed applications, network environment, suppose that, for example, I want to write a FTP protocol. You know that FTP is applications layer protocol. Suppose that if you want to write a telnet protocol, simulate a telnet protocol, which is another applications layer protocol, you have to use java.net library. So basically it simulates lots of networking features. So that is one basic characteristic to support distributed programming language. Java also supports Java also supports all the databases. Java has a what we call them JDBC. JDBC interface between Java and the databases. So again, these are the features. JDBC is one, support of network programming is another one. The another important feature which helps Java as a distributed is what we call them. It is a basically it supports component programming. Java, you have a features which is not discussed, which is again not a part of our discussion. Is what we say that you have a what we call them component programming. Component programming where you can have a Java beans. What we said, Java beans is basically a small component. You can write rather than writing a big large program, you can write a smaller programs and try to combine them. So Java beans supports this feature. So in summary, Java has many features to support distributed. One is support of connectivity with databases, like through interface called JDBC. The second one is support of network programming features, TCP/IP programming feature through java.net as a library. And the third one supports component programming through Java beans, which helps you to write a smaller components just like any hardware component, and then help you to combine all these components together and so on. So this is basically some of the features of Java programming is there. Now here you have already discussed in other presentations that the drawbacks, some of the drawbacks of C++ has been removed, or from C it has been removed in Java. Type def of preprocessors, structures or union. You have simply one class concepts, multiple inheritance, it complicates the program hierarchy. Go to statements, more block structure type of things. The automatic coercions, pointers arithmetic. All these features you had in other earlier versions of Java, C and C++. Also predecessors, not we'll call them earlier versions, predecessors, have been removed in Java. So you will not find any pointers, you will not find features to manipulate pointers arithmetic, and so on and so forth. No go to a statement and so on. In C language, what you do is, in C language, one can write an expression of different data types, and system automatically converts them into higher data type, which you don't find in Java programming language. So these are the features you have in this one. Now Java, what exactly? Let me explain you the concept that Java is basically platforms. Now when we say Java platform, it means it has two large components. What we call them, it has two very large components. One is called Java virtual machine, and the second called Java API. Just with the last point, Java API. Now API stands for Applications Program Interface. What exactly means? That Java supports large number of classes. Each class has large number of methods. Java supports large number of libraries. So basically the whole structure of Java is that it comprises of a large number of libraries, what we call them packages. And what are those packages? Java.net, Java.util, Java.lang, Java.awt. So these are the important library packages which contains large number of classes, and each class contains a large number of methods. That is the whole hierarchy of a Java programming languages. In other programming language like C and C++, you will find few class libraries or few smaller functions and everything you have to build. So they provide you everything. So these are the that is Java is a platform. It gives you environment, just like for example Oracle is a platform for development of database. Ingress is another platform for development of the database and so on. Similarly, in same line, Java is a platform which gives you large number of tools and utilities, class and methods through which you can write an applications or distributed applications. This concept is already we explained you in number of times. When we say Java virtual machine, don't think that is a hardware, it is basically software, and where it is built into it is very much built into is a part of your browser. So this is a browser contains Java virtual machine. Java virtual, your browser not only contains Java virtual machine, but it also contains many things. It contains a code for a TCP/IP program. it contains a code for a FTP, telnet, and so on. So this way is basically what it does as a part of JVM. It loads, verifies, executes Java bytecodes. Now the Java Core API provides a common set of functions on all platforms. So when we say the that is all platforms. For example, when we listed Java.net or Java. This one, so when you download Java platform, these all will be available everywhere. This is called what we say now. This one. Some of the important class libraries. I will just have a just glance through it. Like for example. These are for example, one such class library is what we call them java.lang, which basically deals with input and output, string handling, and so on. So basically one such library is called java.lang, which automatically loads when you run your Java program. But other libraries which you have to load specifically in your machine, that does not come automatically. For example, I have to use network programming, java.net you have to use. If I have to use graphics, audio, video, sounds, again you have to import java.awt, and so on. If you have to use input output, you have to use java.io. But so all those packages you have to load it specifically by using import statement. But except java.lang, everything has to be loaded. This is what we have. What it does, look at the Java. So basically, what we are talking about is Java programming in other programming language. The basic analogy which we are trying to make it here is that studying studying a different programming language simply requires understanding few statements like looping statements or the conditional statements and how to create a structure and so on. But here, or input output statement, but here understanding Java is basically understanding or studying all those different classes which belongs to different packages and methods which belong to different classes. So that is basically exercise a little bit lengthy in Java, because you are not learning a language, but you are learning a platform. You are learning a development environment which has more features than a single programming language. So if you have a java.lang package, I already explained to you, automatically loaded. You don't need to import java.lang. And what java.lang does is basically just like std.io, stdio.h, which you have in C language here. Like for example, they help you to all fundamental classes and interfaces. All the standard input output, copying arrays, loading. So all these arrays, if you work with array object directly, all the support is coming from java.lang. Important classes are math class, string, system, throwable, and all these classes. Throwable class basically deals with the robustness of this one. So if you want to handle the error very reliable way, throwable class has to be used, and again you don't need to import them. It is automatically java.lang takes care of it. A string class, which we will discuss a little bit, string class also comes automatically with it. All some math classes also comes along with it. Java.utl package supports broad range of functionality. And what are this one? They are basically pseudo-random number generations, manipulations, date and time manipulations, observing some events, manipulating sets of bits, stacks, lists, and arrays. All are the stacks, lists, and arrays. They all are called data structure. Array is the data structure which is supported by most of the programming language. Other data structures are not supported with it. Now here the stacks are not is not a original. I mean, this is a stack and list are supported through a class in Java programming language. Other programming language you have to design your own. Array is one which is supported inbuilt, but others are you have to simulate them. For example, you have to, right? And whenever you write a recursive program, a stack is basically used. So similarly, we have input output operations. For that, there are different type of class libraries are there. Then we have a java.applet that again provide the necessary support for the applets. Explain to you that applets is basically used when you want to transport your program outside your machine boundary. You want to send it somewhere else. You can download large number of applets lying on some systems and can use them as a part of your program. So this is what we have, java.awt, lots of graphics, image, and all are basically handled by java.awt. And this way we have, let me just explain you a small such program, how to write a small Java program. The first is that basically, as I told you earlier, and already we have explained you to number of slides, so we'll not talk about the function of each component, but simply the focus will be on the structure of the programs. As I told you earlier, that as in C++, in Java, all programs are written in a form of a class. There could be one such class, it could be number of certain classes, and it means that writing a program, Java is basically organization of these classes. But there is always one main class. Main class has to be there, where main method is stored there. So here is basically class hello world. This is the name of class called hello world, and here we are defining one main method, right? And what this function does, or main method, which contains another such method called println method, which is defined into system.out class to display the message called hello world. So this is basically a small such program which we have written. But always the point which we are talking about is that this is basically in the form of, any program has to be written in form of for one class or number of other classes. Now here will be some explanations about this. What about this class, system class? Main method is the starting place for the interpreter. Main method, system always looks for your browser when it starts running in any program. It always looks for the main methods now. Or your Java development environment, where is the main method? If main method is missing, then you're not able to run your program. Same thing happens in C and C++, but unless you have a main method, your program will not be run by the system. So main method is the starting place for the interpreter. A string is a basically class. Declares a parameter named arg, which is an array of instance of class string. So here this is basically what is args. It is a symbol of an array. Args is an array of instance of a class string. The system.out is a class variable. Now system is a class, out is a variable in that class, a variable that is a reference to an object implementing the standard output stream. Now all the input output, in other programming language simply like print a statement or printf a statement, but here everything is defined as a part of class. So all your methods, a standard method is not a standalone basis, but they are also part of particular classes now. So all methods have not to be used separately. They have to be used as a part of your class or the library where they have been designed. System.in is a class variable. Now look at we have a system.out, we have a system.in. What is a class variable? That is a reference to an object implementing a standard input. System.out is basically for the output stream. System.in is for the standard input stream. We have another type of system, system.arr, error. ERR stands for error, implements the standard error system. So this is where we try to write a small program. So let's look at some of the one such class called a string class now. A string class is a Java class now. An instance of a string class is of course an object, just like you define any class, and you declare a large number of instances of these classes, so we call them objects. So object is an instance of a class, right? Class is basically a template which defines what data structure, what methods, what variables, and so on. And it is object which initializes data into each of those variables and implement those functions. So unless object is created, memory is not going to be allocated. Just like, for example, we simply write int, does not make any sense. But when we write int a equals something, then memory is allocated and data is stored into it. So a string class is a Java class. An instance of a string class, of course we have understood that is an object. In Java, each and every string is an object. Strings are not an array of characters as we have done in C language. Strings are entirely different kind of things. So, and most of the string classes are of these are the standard methods you have available. Boolean equals, we try to compare whether these two strings are equal or not. Equal in sense that all the elements are same, the length of the strings are same, and so on. This is called equals now. So they compare two strings and returns whether the 0 or true or false, whether the strings are equal or not. The integer length is a method. So all are basically methods. Now how to use this method? Unless you have an object of a string class, these methods are not accessible to you. So you to use these two methods, first you declare an object of a string class. You might declare number of objects of a string classes, and now you can try to find out the length of a string by using length method. To find out whether all the objects are equal or not by using what we call them the equals method. To find out what is the character at particular index value at that one, you have to use char at. So basically you have a number of other methods belonging to the class. See, the string class. This is what I observed in the beginning. Understanding Java programming language means understanding these classes, knowing these classes, knowing those methods in the classes, and finally using them, these methods belonging to particular class. You don't need to write everything from the scratch. Better use those classes and their method and try to provide them, because they are much more optimized than you can write a program. So the mantra is that you use existing classes and method as much as possible, then you design your own. So these are the few standard classes are there. Now look at even a small program. I think this program was discussed in other slides also, but let me just explain to you, because the today's topic is mostly on the, mainly on the string classes now. Now here is the, let's say, so if I have to write a program, how I will go about it? First I will define a string method. This is called the name of the class, and first you have to use the word called class. So string method, this is the name I have given. Now here the one basic documentation about Java programming say that you can write as big as the name you want of any class. But to understand and make it much more meaningful, if name contains number of different words, then each starting letter of the word must have the capital. Although I have not done, it will not be diagnostic any error, but you could have written S capital, and this N is also could have written a capital. So could have a string methods. So that is the way you write a name of any class. Now any class contains large number of methods, of course, but first main method has to be there. Main method by standard definition, they must have this type of parameter as a part of this one. So args, which is defined as a string class now. Now this one contains, now what I have done is that I have defined three objects, object 1, object 2, object 3. Here is a small error you try to figure out, and the error is that this one has to be capital type, like all the classes has to be capital, like for example S has to be capital letter. So all this S here is just typing mistake. S, you make it, you correct it, S should be capital now. So what we have done is that I have declared three objects of a string classes, object 1, object 2, object 3, and then initialize with first string, the second string, and so on. So basically, and this way you can have a number of objects of this string classes. Now what you have learned from this statement is how to declare and how to initialize a string object. And what is the basic syntax I have followed? First I have to write the class name. First letter should be capital, then you write the name of the object as big as you want, and then you initialize within double quotes, and then within double quotes you write any big message which you want, and that is the basically contents of your objects now. So first, so what is happening here? Object 1 is initialized with first string, object 2 is initialized with this second string, and this way I can do now. Now let's say for example, now what I want to do is, let's say for example I want to find out the length of a particular string. So what I will do now, simply I don't need to write a program. In C language you know that if I have to find a length of a string, then what I will do, that it is array of characters. So I will access the first character, increment the index, access the second character, increment the index, so on and so forth till I reach at the end where I come across with the null characters now. So here I have written length of the object 1, and look at this one what I have done. I want to find out the length of first string, and first, so you don't need to write now the string class. Now once you have declared any object of any string class, simply use that object now. So what I have written, object 1 dot length. What is the length? Length is defined as a method. Now this method is defined as a part of class. So if I have to use any of these methods defined as a part of class, first I have to declare a object, and then you write a dot operator, and then you write the name of method. So similarly I can write I can use all the methods of the classes by declaring any object and initializing its value, and I will use different method in different contexts. Then I want to find out what is the element, what character object has at this 3. So 3 is basically index value. The third position, whatever character it is, it will be displayed. Now I want to find out whether two objects are equal or not. One way to, if I ask you to simulate this equal method, what you will do, you will take first string, you will take the second string, compare the, then you will take pick up the first character, then pick up the first character of the second, try to see whether both are equal or not. But you don't need to do this exercise. Simply use a method called equals, and it will do. So basically simply I will if object 1 dot equals object 2. Means if both are equal, simply display this message, otherwise you display another type of message. So this way one can write this type of so we have as a part of, so what we informed you right now, the string is a class which is used very extensively. To use a string, you declare an object, and then you use various methods to access exploit this string. Now let's look at some another program. Suppose I want to write character counting program, which is quite different from a C language. Now again, we have explained you this program in different contexts. We simply again explain you the architecture and the style of writing a C++ program, Java program, sorry. So again, what I have to do now, what I told you, to first define a class. Any name you can give them. I have given the name of count character, but the name should be, of course you can think whatever you like, you can define them, but the name should be much more meaningful. You must understand by name itself what this program is going to do. So count character, this is what we are trying to do in this program. This class contains one main method. This is standard way of defining a main method. By word say that main method does not return anything. Main method simply returns a control. Where does it return a control? Like in C language, where does it return a control? It returns a control to the operating system. Here it might be running to develop environment. If it is applet, then might be running to somewhere else now. So main is basically returning a control to the development environment. This is something what we have been, of course this is more discussing when you reach the second trimester. This is basically for writing a robust program in Java programming language. We'll have some explanation on the next slide, and we'll talk about it at the next stage. So if I want to write a count how many characters you have in this your file, or let's say the statement. So first what I have to do is that I have to define some counter. So count is a variable, right? And this basically will keep on counting how many characters you have. It will read the first, increment its counter, read the second one, increment the counter, and so on. It is defined to be 0. Now again, you must learn that all the variables which you use in C language or in C++ or in Java has to be defined earlier than when you use them. And then we write, so basically system.in.read, basically reading from the keyboard whatever characters you have given them, and finally if not equal to -1, keep on incrementing them, and finally it will print the count value, that how many characters it has. So this is a very straightforward one of the method. This is the method you are trying to use them. This is called input method, output method already discussed earlier, system.out, and this is called system.in. Here is some explanations that what we have discussed in here is the throws java.io.exception. This is basically again defined into java.lang class. We told you that Java supports large number of classes, and when you deal with input and output operations, you have to use java.lang, which automatically comes with your program. what it does, this statement specifies that the main method can throw an exception called java.io.io.exception. This is what is exception? Is an event that occurs during the executions of a program that prevents the continuation of the normal flow of the instruction. Now, but again, it has to be in Java style itself. Main method does not throw any exception directly, but it can throw a java.io. So this is basically, when we come to exception classes, then we will learn how to use them. And most of the input output, they will define exception classes or methods to be used with different environment. What system.in.read, this method reads a single character and returns either the character that was read, or if there are no more character, then it returns -1. So till it finds a character, it will keep on incrementing the counter. Moment it finds this one, that it will stop. Means moment you have hit a return key, it will stop, and then everything, it will give you the whole thing now. The another thing which I just want to explain to you, and for that I don't have a slide, but just I try to explain to you and try to you can note down at your center, but if any questions you can give me through email. Let me just explain you now, because the topic for today's discussion was on strings and array. What we have explained you so far, that what is a Java programming language, how it is different from a conventional programming language C and C++, what are the important features of a Java programming language, and also we explained you the list of the packages which Java supports and what are the features of these packages. This is all we explained to you. And last we explained you that there is a string class, and a string class is defined into java.lang, and there could be large number, thousands of such classes are there, and as you proceed with different packages, you can learn those classes and how, and those methods which are built into as part of those classes now. Now I will just inform you that the array is another important data structure. And as I told you in the beginning, that the array is such a data structure which is supported by large number of programming languages. So first you have to understand where do we use an array. One thing will be sure that for array you don't need to do anything, is a built-in mechanism, and all the programming language supports array type of data structure. And by this time you must be fully familiar with that what is an array. You know that, for example, when you deal with a large number of with a large number of data, normal way is that you take so many variables now. Suppose I am dealing with 5 or 6 data, you can define 5 or 6 variables, and then you can store those data into these variables and can use them in different programming exercises now. But the moment you move to 10, 15, 20, 14, 60, 50, then you have to define so many variables, and it's very difficult for you to track those many variables, and your program size will be very lengthy. You will be more concentrating on tracking these variables rather than writing the semantics, or concentrating on semantics or logic of the program. So to understand all this, to handle this type of situation, array type of data structure is created. This is basically used to store a large number of data of similar type. It should not be that one variable is one type, another variable is different type, or you know that what exactly I mean by data types. By data type I mean in C plus or other programming language, they define large number of, like integer is one, double is another one, short is another one, and so on and so forth. And then, so when we say array, then array has to be either integer type or some other type. So all data has to be same type. This is one point which you have to understand. Array is treated as an object rather than a class, whereas string is a class. So if to use an array, to use a string, this is very much important point. And all discussions are there in your the literature. So for that I have not brought any slide, but you must try to refer to your literature now. That here is the array, the basic difference between array and string, and both are very same type somehow. One deals with string, we deal with character type of things more frequently now. So here is the array is basically object. To use an array, you don't have to declare any object specifically. Itself an object, and some of the method automatically you can use them. Whereas in a string, you declare first an object and then you can use some of these methods. But array is a predefined objects now. Now this is one point. So first thing is the array is an object. The second thing about the array stores large number of data. The third is all data has to be similar type. The fourth important point which you have to understand about an array is that to access the elements on array, you have to use an index. For example, first element, the index will be 0, second element index will be 1, third element index will be 3, and so on. So by incrementing the index, you can access each element of an array, because array is basically used to store a large number of data. Now you can ask me what type of applications one can think of an array. There are two. In fact, most of the time we have been asking in a program to write a what we call them search program. So that you have array, since array contains large number of data, and you require to find some smallest number, a biggest number, and something like this. You have to search now. So you must know what is the basic search mechanism. For example, you look at the telephone directory. Now telephone directory, you have a millions of telephone numbers now, and someone asks you to find out. You will not start from the page 1, page 2, page 3 where you have a million of pages are there. This is not the best way of doing. If you have a 5 or 6 page telephone directory like university directory, yes, you can go page by page, you can try to find out. But if where millions of records are stored, the best way is that you have some mechanism. So first you look at the index, and through index you try to find out that any name that starts with B, it must be page number this one. Any letter that starts with Z must be start with page number. So immediately move to that page number, and so on. So basically what we are talking about is one way, see what we call linear search. We move first page, second page, third page, fourth page, sixth page, and so on. And the second one is what we call them binary search. So you must, as a part of this computer science, you must understand some tools, basic mechanism, data structure, how to look, how to search, how to sort, and so on. But right now we are talking about these two. So basically two methods are there. Right now we are talking about how to use an array and for what application you can use it. Right now we are taking one such application, is searching for some data into an array. So two methods I listed you. One is what we call the linear search, and the second is called binary search. Linear search is basically used when you have very small data, suppose 5 or 6, and I want to find out the largest, the smallest, or someone. So what I will do now, so that I am looking for just a given now, you have to conceptualize right now. You have to use now, let's say for example, I have defined some array. Array contains 5 or 6 elements. So what I have to do, first I have to initialize some index, number 1. Number 2 is that I have to define key which I am looking for, or data value which I am looking for, store them into certain variable. Then index will be in the beginning. At that index position I will access the first data and compare with my key which I am looking for. If not, then I will increment the index, I will get to the second data, then I will compare with my key. So this way I will go with the first, compare with second, compare with third, compare with fourth, compare with. Moment I get, I will just return that value at this position. This data has been found. If at the end you have reached and data is not there, key will be not matched, and simply will return the message that data is not found. Let me again just tell you what exactly we are talking about. We are discussing how to find and find a data from an array, and the method is linear search, where what we have done, which is used for the small sets of data. The method is that you define some value which you are looking for, store them certain variable called key. Second one, you define certain index which will be able to access them one by one. First it will be 0, so start with first element, increment second, will access second element, and each time you access element of an array, you try to compare with your data which you are looking for. The moment you find this data, you just return that value. If you have searched for the entire array and couldn't find, just give the message. This is called linear search. I think you must have understood. The second one, and the last one, will just explain you the binary search. This is very fastest method, but the difference is the data has to be sorted now. So data has to be first sorted, and then I can look for particular type of data. This data has to be sorted in ascending order. For example, I have a grid, I have a word list of a particular group or in particular class, let us CSI 03. So I have just already data, I have put them into an array and already sorted them. Now I want to look for particular data, whether someone has got 50 marks or not. In that case, binary search is used. So binary search is used when you have a large set of data. Data is sorted one, and then trying to find out. The linear search will take lots of time because you are going one by one, just like the way the tape drive works. So we are getting the fast method, and this is what exercise you have to do is that you have to understand large number of tools and apply them to solve this problem. By this way one can solve the problem, the technique, but if you sort them in a less time, and that is the good result you have to produce. Now optimized way, you have to find some optimized solution, you have to try to find out now. So basic method is you define an array, take the mid value, suppose you have 20 elements, so basically let's say the 10th value you have taken. First try to compare the data which you are looking with the mid positions now. If data is found, then you are very successful. In one run itself you have found the data. In linear search you will never able to reach to the mid positions, you always start from the beginning. But in binary search you have this flexibility that if data is sorted one, you take the mid position. Suppose that you have 20 elements, you will take half of 20 by 2, so I will take mid position now, and now I will try to compare my data with the mid positions data. If my data value is same, then just return them. If it's less than, then you search first half. If it is greater than, then you search the second half. So this way we'll try to shift first half or the second half. Again first half, again I will try to take mid position. Second half again I will try to have a mid position, and this way I will try to find out. According to one estimate that if I have a 16 element of an array, then it will take maximum time log to power 16. What exactly it means that only in 4th search time you will able to find this data. If I have a, let's say for example, I have a, let's say, 32 elements are there, it will take maximum 5 unit of time for search for data. But if I have a 32 element and apply the linear search, it might take 22 unit of time if data is lying at the end of an array. So this is what you must understand, that how effective is the binary search algorithm is. Now basically let me just summarize very quickly once again that what we have discussed today is that Java programming language contains many features which normal conventional programming language does not have. And most important of Java programming language is that Java is basically used for, in fact I tell you that whole thing that today you see that this is a problem with the software side. If I have to assemble a computer, I will take only half an hour, 30 minutes I can assemble a computer. But if I have write let's say 100 lines of code, it takes days and days, and you are not sure whether the system will work or not. So Java and other today train is to develop a component based programming. You don't need to write everything from a scratch, but you have to write them the way you design a hardware system. You simply assemble them, combine them, and give them solutions now. This is about Java. So Java has one basic advantage of Java is a platform independent, because Java has been designed to write a program in distributed environment. So this is the very much important feature, that is not, its compiler gives you a bytecode. So Java virtual machine is an interpreter which interprets this code and gives you the code specific to particular platform. So Java is a platform. The second is the second feature of Java is that Java is a highly secure programming language. Security is a very much important issue otherwise today, because we are doing lots of business with the internet. So security has to be provided now. So Java provides security feature. If you download any applet from outside, Java provides these features around this, basically creates a sort of safety net around this firewall, safety net around this code, so that this applet cannot access to any local files. If applet has to make any connection, again they have to make connection from the site where from it has been downloaded. The third feature about Java is very basically a robust programming language. It's basically it provides you lots of exception handling features now, so that you will have, if there is a there will not be a very abnormal exit type, or a very graceful exit will be there in case of abnormal situations. Normal case you say that something error happens, your system gets hung, but Java gives you a warning, and all the robustness features of the Java has been developed into again object oriented. The another important features of Java is where I spent some time. It's called Java is a multi-threaded programming language. Multi-threading is an important features. Is basically used for writing a parallel programming language, parallel environment, because today we are moving from a von Neumann model to very, very highly parallel machines where we have a large number of CPUs are there. Today you have von Neumann model where only one CPU is there, but today you have seen the machines where a large number of CPUs are there, and because of miniaturizations and the cost factor. So you must have a software to exploit these features now, and Java is one such candidate. But it does not mean that Java is a basically meant only, can run only on those parallel environment. Today most of the machines are only single CPU based machine, but Java runs there itself. The another point about Java programming is Java supports is lots of features like multimedia you can use for designing of the website. It handles the audio, it handles video, it handles sounds, graphics, and java.aw is one such feature. This is all we have discussed, and the end finally we discussed about arrays and strings. Thank you.